Good morning, everyone. Today we are so excited to have Ashleigh with AYM Interiors on our Ministering Over Fostering podcast. Good morning, Ashleigh.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm so good today. I am so excited that we're interviewing you. This is like a soft spot that I have, so I'm personally excited about this.
So am I. Thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. So if you can you just give me a little brief introduction?
Of course. My name is Ashleigh Miranda. I am an interior designer at AYM Interiors. I specialize in commercial and residential design. So it's design in the home, design in businesses and workplaces.
That's so awesome. So there may be some youth listening today that might have an interest in interior design. Can you kind of give us a little background of how you got started?
I kind of always had an interest. I had an interest from a very young age in design. I remember I would wait for the Target ad on Sundays in the newspaper, and instead of looking at the toy section like most children would, I would look at the furniture section and what was new in the home, in the home section. And I always had an interest whenever family or friends would, get a new home or get a new apartment. I really wanted to be involved in the process of making their space their own and making it feel like home. So I always had that. And then I, got older. I got a job in the legal industry. So I kind of put that on the back burner. And I had this aha moment one day, and I was like, I'm not as happy as I could be. And, I can continue doing this and, not living up to my happiness potential, or I can take the leap of faith and pursue what I believe I'm passionate about, which is design. So I did that. I quit my job. I went back to school for design. I graduated, worked for a firm for 6 months, made a huge life change, and here I am.
Wow, that's so exciting, and congratulations on taking that leap. We love that leap.
Yeah, you guys took a leap like that too.
Yeah, congratulations. I love that, and just knowing like the passion behind it, it just makes it even more better.
I want to say before we continue is that was one of the things that stood out for Lakeisha and I because we met at the Femme then. And one of the events that we did, and when you approached us and we started connecting with you, your passion for this is what really stood out to us.
Yes.
And like, we have to have her come in and do this interview because we talk so much about, environment and what needs to be done for the kids to feel safe in their place where they're going to be. And we thought it was so important to bring up this topic because people don't really think this is important.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're just so grateful to have you because this is such a huge piece and it's going to be a completely different interview than what we're accustomed to, but I think it's so needed.
I'm so happy that you guys wanted to talk about this because even in our industry, I say I'm an interior designer and people are like, well, what's the substance to what you do? And I'm like, well, let's sit down. Let's talk about, the reality of things. And so I'm so glad that you guys have opened up your platform to talk about things like this.
So speaking of the kids, when decorating a child's room, what are some key points or, aspects that you keep in mind when decorating their room?
When decorating a child's room, I definitely keep in mind that every child is an individual and they have their own likes, their own dislikes, their own preferences. But I think the key to designing a child's room is keeping in mind that, it's a sensitive time in their lives and really creating an environment that they feel safe in is key. And that varies from child to child. For example, some children might really feel soothed and at peace in environments that have, a cooler color palette. And, other children might feel that cooler color palettes are cold and icy. So it really just depends, it really is getting to know the child, their preferences and the life experience that have shaped their preferences as well. So you can really get some inspiration in how this individual child can be supported. I think in that same way, it's also like meeting a child or an individual where they're at as far as comfort level. Whereas, for example, some children, might really appreciate and love an environment in which, everything that they love is, in front of their face, like decked to the nines. And some children, might feel overstimulated and overwhelmed in environments like that. And, not much changes as we're adults, right? When we go to, say, like a restaurant that's a little bit fancier than what we're accustomed to, we feel like we have to put the knife a certain way and the napkin a certain way. And we get so caught up in the mental of trying to align to that environment that we're not able to let our guard down and enjoy the moment and immerse ourselves, in the present moment. So I think it's really imperative also to, find out where the child's comfort level is and meet them where they are.
I'm just thinking of just my life in general and how I would decorate my own home. And like, I know that my younger years, I was like, me and my husband, we would decorate with very vibrant colors. And over the time we've noticed, oh no, neutrals are better for us. So I love that you're saying meeting a child where they are. That means a lot as far as what Myra and myself have seen in the homes.
Right.
What would be your favorite project? If you can choose one, I'm sure you have many. So far, and why?
I would have to say my favorite project thus far would be a nursery that I did for a young couple who's having their first baby. And it's my favorite project because we were able to have just a really raw human conversation about how monumental of a milestone this was in their life. And on one hand, it's like, your life can change for the absolute best in a matter of moments. But on the other hand, it's also like, everything that you've known and everything that you've done up until this moment might completely change. And it does take the mental and the emotional a little bit of time to get up to speed on that. It's not an overnight process. We really wanted to create an environment where the parents felt comfortable, and in turn, baby would feel their parents' comfort and their energy. So we created an environment that really promoted unity. Whereas, a lot of nurseries, it's like it's one person's room and we're all just involved, like trying to be in it.
Yeah,
we created an environment where it was like, no, this is all of our rooms. This is where we go to collaborate and where we learn how to become a family together.
You mentioned unity. So it is the child's room, right? But again, like, we want to invite the parents to come into these rooms and create a sense of unity. So I know you mentioned that interior design plays a huge impact on how a person or a child feels. You mentioned safety, unity. What would be some tips that you can leave our resource parents with that they can keep in mind when they are establishing a room for, children in foster care?
I would definitely say just like some background on our environment. It has such a direct impact on our mental health, on our physical health, and on our overall well-being. So much to the point where it's like, from a biological standpoint, it's in our nature to adapt to our environment. It's how we've lived thousands of years. It's how we've evolved as a species. And, it's, just like it doesn't have to be one temperature throughout all of time in order for us to survive. We adapt, we're able to survive different temperatures, different climate changes, because that's who we are. We're resilient. And so keep that in mind when you're creating a built environment, you're creating your family environment. Keep in mind natural lighting, or, if you don't have access to natural lighting, creating a feeling of natural lighting with, table lamps, with layered lighting, bringing in elements of nature like real plants. stones even, and it really is playing up the senses, like smells and bringing tastes of home, textures of home, with the soft textures. Some people don't like soft textures. It's really just getting to know all of the members in a family and how we tie all that in.
That is awesome. I love that concept of basically playing off of the senses. Are there any just key tips or anything else that you would like to tell our viewers?
It's really important to have areas in your home that are collaboration areas, where it's like a nursery or a dining room, living room, where everyone goes to connect, and also having areas where you can disconnect and feel comfortable healing, feel comfortable processing emotions. So it's areas where you can collaborate and areas where you can also disconnect are so important to having a healthy family environment.
I'm thinking that would be awesome, like a little reading nook where our little ones can just go and be by themselves, or even, collaborate with the family. That would be awesome. How can our audience find you?
You can find me at AYM Interiors on Instagram and at ayminteriors.com. That's my website.
There's so much about what you said that I'm like
yeah,
taking it all in, because I don't know much about interior design, and to be very honest, I am just recently starting to learn how important it is to create it's not a house, right? It's a home. And what does that mean to me individually? And I know one of my mentors sat with me one time and she says, what does your room look like? And do you feel like that's a place where you can go and unwind for the day and relax, and kind of that sanctuary, that private area? And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? Like, I didn't know how important that was. And as I'm trying to discover like my style and what happens and what do I want for my home, what do I need from it, how do I create this kind of sanctuary when I walk into the house, I think about our children and I think about our youth that come into foster care. They've left everything behind. Family, everything that they know, their particular items, things that create memories for them. And they've been taken and they've been brought into a new home. They don't know anybody. These are not my things. This is not my space. I don't know how to fit here. And one of the things where the My Bedding Project came in for us is we wanted to give our youth and our children something that is theirs upon arriving into a home. So you have a brand new bedding set that you got to choose with your colors, something that kind of represents who you are. And you're able to create at least this little part of this bedroom, of this entire home, yours, where you can come and you can hide away and you can have kind of this retreat. And so all of the things that you were talking about in regard to why it's important, dinner tables are important for us in foster care, because that's where you create an environment of family where you can share with these kids, incorporate them, which is why we don't want families having separate dinners. And some of you are over there and other, because these kids need that unity, that inclusion. So I'm just like overwhelmed with all of the information you provided to us. And I am wondering, just as we get to close and we're starting to close, Ashleigh, what would you say is an item, or how can, for example, if a child brings in maybe a stuffed animal or something that looks torn or kind of looks like it doesn't fit into, my style of the home or my decor, how can I honor this child that brought this item that maybe I don't know how it fits into this house or this decor, and honor this memory for them and include it in some way where they feel prideful of it, even if it's not the prettiest item or it doesn't make sense to my decor?
Yeah. I think an awesome thing to do that makes children feel included and happy when they see it is framing artwork. It just makes, what they do so special. Because it gets its own frame, it gets its own place in the home. So that's one way to really make a child feel encouraged to not only express themselves, but also that they have a place in the home. So that's one way. As far as like tangible objects, it really just depends on the object. For certain objects like teddy bears and blankets and things like that provide comfort to the child, it's really helpful to have that in, their designated room, so they feel like this is my designated space with my own things where I can go. I have my things. I can disconnect a little bit.
So to provide comfort that they know it's there and it's available if they need it.
Right. They have their own space that they can go to. They know where it is, and it's always available to them.
Awesome. I mean, I just
love this.
Ashleigh, and we're so grateful that you took some time out of I know you're a very busy person.
Yes.
You can actually come and share this, because we wanted to give a space for resource parents to understand why it's important to incorporate the child. And we get it financially. You may not have the ability to do a full remodel every time you get a new placement, but it's the little things that you can do to incorporate this child or this youth into this space, make them feel empowered that they made certain particular choices for their space, and honor their privacy, as well as having, like you said, these collaborative areas where we can now join as a family. And if you need to separate and have some time, that you have a safe place to do that. So
yes. I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.